That preseason feeling, football is back. What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome into First Take. I'm Charlie Arnold. We got Max Kellerman here, Stephen A. Smith, how you guys feeling?
It was almost too much sports. I mean, everything was on at the same time. Field of Dreams, and is it going to be Mac? You're going to see Mac Jones for the first time in the summer league. It was crazy yesterday.
It was. It really was.
Look, I'm not mad about it. More is better. You know, they always say less is better. No, more is better in this case. And I hope you guys are hungry because last night we got our first bite of mac and cheese when the rookie Mac Jones took his first snaps as a Patriot against the Washington football team. Jones received a standing O when he took the field, 55 seconds to go in the first, relieving Cam Newton after 2 series. He played 5 series, going 13 of 19 passing for 87 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Here's Cam and Bill Belichick on Jones following the Pats' 22-13 win.
We'll look it on film and, see there was some good things. There's plenty of things we can improve on. It's true for everybody. It's true for all of us.
For him to come out there, I know he came to me and talked to me, and we talked it out about, just his expectation, and every young quarterback goes through it. The excitement, the anticipation, he wants to be so perfect, and I see his preparation is always, pristine, and, that's what I admire about him, being at such a young age.
And Mac Jones had a great performance. Actually, it was funny because when you looked at him on the field, he had such a serious face on him. And afterwards, Cam Newton said that sometimes it's like trying to crack the Da Vinci Code of seriousness as far as he's concerned. But Max, I want to start with you. Who should start for the Patriots at quarterback?
The answer is Cam Newton. Let me say, Stephen A., what you said off the top was true. Mac Jones, I thought last night was good, bordering on very good. And that's the first time he's seen competition against another NFL team. And we got to see it, and that was impressive. You have to keep in mind, in the preseason, you're not rolling out the whole playbook. You're not playing against starters. Mac Jones wasn't. He was playing against second and third stringers. But he looked good, bordering on very good. It's a nice start. In the history of the NFL, never has a first-year starting quarterback ever been in the Super Bowl, has never taken a team to the Super Bowl, let alone won one. Now, records are made to be broken. It's going to happen eventually. Is it going to happen with Mac Jones on this New England team? I don't think so. Could it happen with Cam Newton? Could they potentially win the Super Bowl with Cam Newton? Yeah, I think they could. You have to keep in mind, Stephen A., I know it's my greatest hits, volume 4, but I'm going to say it again. 2 plays away last year off a catastrophic injury, missing a season, new team, no weapons, 9 defections off the defense because of COVID, no preparation, practice facilities shut down, and then he got COVID 2 plays away from 9 wins. Cam also, I thought, looked pretty good last night. I'm going with Cam.
Cam did look pretty good, but I'm not willing to say that. It was just one preseason start, and I get all of that. But I'm not willing to say that for a multitude of reasons. In terms of Cam Newton being the definitive starter, I definitely think that Mac Jones will be starting at some point during this season, and I think it's going to be early than late. Number one, I'm not sold on Cam Newton, the passer. I never have been. You know that. I've been consistently on that tip his entire career. He has ran the football effectively. He is an athletic stud and freak of nature. There is no question about that. I think he has tremendous leadership skills and can galvanize folks, and he doesn't get enough credit for that. I get all of that. But I've always had a problem with his accuracy, and I think that when you have an accuracy issue, even though he did complete 65% of his passes last year, and the last time he played a full season healthy under Norv Turner as his offensive coordinator in Carolina, he was completing 67% of his passes before he got hurt. But for the most part, throughout his career, he's hovered around 60% completion percentage. And I think when you're the successor to Tom Brady, that's just something that's going to count against you because your lack of accuracy is something that ultimately is going to be magnified. That's number one. Now let me get to Mac Jones. I will remind everybody that this first round pick of the New England Patriots probably one of the rare individuals that was literally craving to drop to number 15. Didn't even want to be a top 3 or 4 pick because he wanted to fall to the New England Patriots. Well, let's understand why that is. Number one, Mac Jones threw 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions his last year at Alabama. The 3 years he was a quarterback, his last year at Alabama, obviously as a starter. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He also won a national championship playing for Alabama. Who coaches Alabama? That would happen to be Nick Saban. Who is close with Nick Saban? That would happen to be Bill Belichick. When you talk about dogged individuals who are fixated on the sport of football, who are detailed oriented to the nth degree, you're talking about those 2 coaches. And so coming from that system, transitioning to the NFL, that's why Bill Belichick was comfortable taking Mac Jones, because this guy has spoken at Alabama. He's been to Alabama. He actually did a little documentary, a little show with Nick Saban about the sport of football and coaching and what it entails and what have you. They obviously are very close. They know each other very well, have similar expectations of their players. All of those things come into play, Max. And that's why I'm looking at Mac Jones and I'm saying, excuse me, they believe this dude is going to be ready much sooner than later. And we saw last night, 13-19, that dime that was an incompletion to Christian Wilkinson. We saw all of that.
Should have caught that ball.
He should have, 34-yard pass. That was a touchdown pass. He should have caught that ball. I'm not sleeping on Mac Jones at all.
I'm not sleeping on him. I don't think I am. What we've seen in terms of the blueprint of success in the NFL recently with young quarterbacks, and they are starting earlier and earlier in their careers than they used to. A lot of that's because people see that rookie contract as the window to make hay because you can spend money elsewhere and put a team around them. And a lot of it's because they're just better quarterbacks at younger ages, I think. Mac Jones is not a mobile guy. He's going to have to do it with his arm and making quick decisions and all that. And if you look at the quarterbacks who succeeded early in their careers, and of course the best example is Patrick Mahomes, right? It might be the best ever. They didn't start year one. Maybe they were ready. Maybe Mahomes was better than Alex Smith year one. But the long-term projection for Mahomes would be better if he held the clipboard that whole first year, which is what happened. I believe the same is true with Mac Jones, and you couple that with Bill Belichick's lack of patience for rookies, a rookie quarterback, I can't see Cam not starting.
All right, well, it's obvious what the fans want. They did give a standing ovation when Mac Jones took the field. So, guys, we will keep it moving because...
Yep.
Absolutely. The Steelers and the Eagles, they were also in preseason action last night. A new era beginning in Philly under head coach Nick Sirianni, opening the season as the starter. Jalen Hurts finished the night 3 of 7 for 54 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did overthrow a wide-open Quez Watkins deep down the sideline, which would have gone for a 98-yard TD. Eagles go down 24-16, and here is Hurts after the game.
I want to come on the field, complete every pass, score touchdowns every time I touch the field. So the competitor in me is like, damn. But I think it was a good day. I think it was, we got to be better on third down for sure. But coming out there and for the most part executing, it's a lot to learn from though, like always.
It's obvious he has very high expectations for himself. So, Stephen A., is Jalen Hurts in a position to succeed this season?
I don't think he's in a position to succeed because the right man for that remains to be seen. I don't know if he has the requisite weapons necessary in order to succeed because he can't throw the football to himself. And I just look at it from the standpoint that I've got some serious questions as to what he's going to do this season. I just don't think that the Eagles, who've revealed themselves to be a mess since last season, are going to completely recover that quickly. And I think that when we look at Jalen Hurts, we need to understand and remember his resume. The individual that was succeeded by Tua Tagovailoa, benched at halftime of a national championship game because it was one of the most awful performances that we had ever seen. And then Tua came in and rescued the day and delivered the goods against the University of Georgia. Having said all of that, Jalen Hurts goes to Oklahoma. He transfers to Oklahoma, plays lights out. Before he transferred, was the consummate professional and team play and deserves a lot of credit for that. He's in the National Football League. I think he's got an upside. I think he's got potential, but it's primarily due to his athleticism, his guts, moxie, etc., as opposed to accuracy throwing the football. And when you're playing the quarterback position, Max knows this about me. I'm going to religiously come back to your ability to be accurate. I'm doing that with everybody at the quarterback position because at some point in time, they're going to make you throw the football. I'm talking about under pressure, under duress, and with a miniature window to connect to. You're going to have to be able to do that. And I'm not sold yet on Jalen Hurts' ability to do that on the NFL level.
Yeah, it seems like Hurts would need every advantage around him, and it does not seem like he has that. He's inconsistent. It's why he lost his job in college to Tua. It's why he was drafted in the second round. But he has potential, especially if you see that Arizona game last year. I thought he hung tough with Kyler Murray. He belonged on the same field. So there's flashes there, but I agree. I don't think he's in a great position to succeed. But you know who I want to focus on, Stephen A., who is in a position to succeed? Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins looked. Remember I said Mac Jones looked good, bordering on very good? I thought Dwayne Haskins looked excellent. I thought he looked excellent. Now look, he's in his third season. And he started about a dozen games, 13 games. And he has not been very good. His completion percentage for his career, something like 60%. Was he in the best position to succeed? Remember, he's a one-year starter out of college. And even in that 1 year, Haskins got better and better throughout the year. But like Mac Jones, not really a mobile quarterback, is going to have to beat you like more of an old-school quarterback. And those guys might take a little longer. They have fewer weapons to go to very early on. Haskins has not been a good NFL quarterback so far. And I realize, like Mac Jones, he's playing against third stringers. He's not playing against starters, second and third string guys, in the preseason. But he looked excellent. And while we're talking about guys who are not in a position to succeed, he has Mike Tomlin. He has that man right there, Stephen A. And Tomlin knows how to get the best out of players. It's the reason, no matter what hand he's dealt, no matter what cards he's been dealt in his career, he has never been under 500 as a head coach. Haskins now has a couple of partial seasons in his back pocket, experience now as a one-year starter. Actually, he's where young quarterbacks used to be at this point when they got out of college, and it still took them like a year or two to develop. I wouldn't rule a future for Haskins out based on what I saw last night.
Well, that's cool, but let's understand why you're doing that. It's because you're being a nice guy. Let's just call it what it is. You're being a very, very nice guy. This guy was released from the Washington football team. I'm talking about a man that is universally recognized as class personified in Ron Rivera. Goes out publicly on national radio and says, I let him go. His work ethic and commitment were a question. Says he has an NFL arm, a legit NFL arm, can make the requisite throws. We know what he did at Ohio State, okay? We get all of that. And Ron Rivera, in his first year on the job, basically benched him after 4 games. I think it was 4 games. What are we talking about here? I got some numbers in front of me. His record was 3-10, completed 60% of his passes, 2,804 yards, 12 touchdowns, 14 interceptions in his time in Washington. But for Ron Rivera, he didn't even last a third of the season before Ron benched him and ultimately let him go and publicly declared work ethic and commitment was a problem. You and I both know Ron Rivera would never do that unless the players themselves were noticing and saying the same thing. So, yeah, you're in Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're with Mike Tomlin. But you talk about a guy that doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. He might be on the line on a roster with Pittsburgh, and you're there with Tomlin. But you talk about a guy that needs to show and prove. That's it, because it's not about his play and his talent that we were talking about. When somebody's questioning your work ethic and commitment at that young of an age, that's a problem.
It is. There's no doubt about it. Stephen A., out of college, he seemed confident on the border of kind of arrogance. He had a certain arrogance to him. And maybe he needed to be humbled by the NFL a little bit before it really got through to him what it's going to take. But I wouldn't count him out. He was spectacular in college. He was very good last night. He may still have a future.
Yeah, hopefully he's learned his lesson from last season. And just circling back to Jalen Hurts, among the quarterbacks with at least 100 pass attempts last season, he had the lowest. I'm sorry?
I said, let me ask you a question, Charlie.
Yes.
Because just like Max is being nice, you're very, very nice.
I try.
Somebody that is young and talented, we hear arrogance. You know, it's not wrong with that. Cockiness, all that stuff. I mean, please, that comes with it. I mean, you got to believe in you. But work ethic and commitment? Work ethic and commitment?
Well,
when they're looking at you and they're saying you on the NFL level playing the quarterback position, the knock against you is that you didn't work hard? That would scare me more than anything.
You know,
Well, that's why he's a third stringer right now. But I don't think he's going to be the third stringer for long.
Well, I
his
do think
talent
that
says no, he shouldn't
sometimes
be.
when you come in with that cockiness and that attitude of I'm great and I don't need to work as hard as everybody else, because in yourself you believe that it's not necessary. He probably has realized, okay, I'm actually on a different level. I didn't realize who I was messing with, and now I need to turn things around.
But Charlie, you've been covering sports for years, so have you, Max, so have I. The cockiest people we point to usually are recognized as the hardest workers.
Kobe,
some cases.
The Kobe thing that's on Instagram right now, Stephen A. That's circulating on the Kobe thing circulating on social media it'd be instructive for Haskins. And he talked about, I got up at 3 a.m. to work out at 4. And I was doing that, after 4 or 5 years of that, the other guys can't catch up. The question is it too late for Haskins, or can he start getting up at 3 to work out at 4 and catch up?
Well, let's hope he can. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. We have some NBA to get to once we get back from the break. Fresh off his new deal with the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is locked in for 4 years. But how soon should we expect a chip from the claw? That answer will surprise you. Plus, Tom Brady knows a thing or two about winning titles, but are expectations higher this year compared to year one for Tampa Toms?
Look, ain't getting no shampoo commercial.
Never a dull moment. And coming up later, the NBA Summer League rolls on from Vegas with 3 more games. Heat Jazz at 5 Eastern, 3 Mountain on ESPNU. Then Warriors Thunders on ESPN2. And then back over on ESPNU, it will be the Grizzlies and the Kings, all 3 games. Also available on the app. 1 app, 1 tap. And Kawhi Leonard is going to be with LA for the long haul after re-signing with the Clippers yesterday on a 4-year, $176.3 million max contract. This deal includes a player option in the 4th year. However, Leonard is expected to miss significant time next season as he makes his way back from a mid-July surgery to repair a partially torn right ACL that kept him out of the Clippers' final 8 playoff games. Okay, so Max, what does this new contract do for Kawhi?
Well, what this means is, let me be very clear about this. The pressure for Kawhi to win a championship is 3 years.
3 years.
He has to deliver a championship. If he doesn't deliver a championship next year, yeah, of course not. He ain't going to play next year, probably at all. If, maybe toward the end of the season, then he's going to be coming off that long layoff, catastrophic injury. Year 2, he's supposed to, as soon as he gets back, first year, he hits the ground. He's supposed to win a championship that year. Really, with that squad? Did KD just win a championship? KD on the Brooklyn Nets just didn't do it, right? And that's okay. Long as he balls out, long as Kawhi balls out, and yes, one time in his career in a Game 7 in the 4th quarter, he choked against Denver. Otherwise, Kawhi's playoff record is stellar. It's just about as good as anyone who ever lived. He is an extremely clutch and great superstar playoff performer. So then there's year 3. Remember, he has the opt-out in year 4. I think it's fair to say it is a giant success if Kawhi delivers the Clippers a championship at any point. If he gets them a single championship, a franchise that has never even been to the finals, if he gets them a single championship, he's done his job. And the clock says, according to my calculations, Stephen A., he's got 3 years to do it.
Here's the difference between me and you. You say if he does it, he's done his job. I think you're right. No, you're right. My response is, what you gonna say if he doesn't? Then that means he didn't do his job. And to me, we need to pay attention to that too. Why? Because if it were LeBron, we'd say so. It's Russell Westbrook, we're gonna say so. It's anybody else we're going to say so. So why let them off the hook? Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. We're going to say that about them. And so this is the thing, because Max, I deal with this kind of stuff all the time because people sit up there and they call it, negativity when we bringing up the stuff. No, we talking facts. You understand? Let me encourage all these folks that watch First Take. You don't want facts? You don't want honest assessment based on the facts? Turn the damn channel, because I'm going to give it to you. I'm not shying away from it. It ain't my job to sit up there and have Thanksgiving and exchange Christmas gifts with the people that I have to talk about. When you deserve the credit, I don't hesitate to give it to you. When you don't deserve the credit, I don't hesitate to tell you that you don't deserve the credit, because that's my job. That's what I get paid to do. And I say that because it's very, very relevant with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard gets injured in San Antonio. In 2017-2018 season, he missed 73 games. Injured. Legit injury. We understand that. Do you remember what happened at that particular moment in time, Max? We heard rumblings about his dissatisfaction with the medical staff of the San Antonio Spurs, who were considered a first-class organization. The producers in my ear, 20 seconds, just get out my ear. I got something to say.
They were underdiagnosing his injury, he felt.
That's right. Well, that's what he was saying, okay? So he forces himself out of San Antonio, okay? He goes to Toronto. Yeah, they won the chip. He missed 22 games that year. He moves, he goes on to the Clippers. He misses 25 games the next year. This past season, he missed 20 of the 72 games. And so what I'm saying to you, Max, is that, again, just to crystallize for our audience here, you and I have debated about this, a very healthy debate about it, because you prioritize the postseason and the chip. That's it. That's the end all, be all to you. It's not that I don't prioritize it and believe it doesn't matter, but I also believe you get paid to show up for the regular season games too, because there's customers that walk through the turnstiles looking for you, and far more often than should be the case, they don't see Kawhi Leonard because this brother missed some games. Load management, sit down to prevent injuries that ain't even happened yet, okay? Practices when he wants, plays when he wants, all of this other stuff. I look at the $176 million as a talent, Max. He's worth more than that. As a talent, he's worth more than that. As somebody who's the face of the franchise that you need to trust to elevate your franchise, to market and promote your franchise, I tell you that man deserves a pay cut. Because I have a hard time trusting him. So I'm not, again, the talent, he's underpaid. That brother's a top 5 player, top 6 player. He's a superstar. Just finished averaging 30 on 57% shooting, 39% shooting from three-point range, and 11 postseason games. But do you understand, Max? And here's the difference between me and you, and then I'll give it back to you. Do you understand I can make a legitimate argument that he's cost a couple of franchises a championship, even though he's got 2? If you think about San Antonio and some of the things that was transpiring, you had players walking into the locker room questioning him. That was reported, okay? It wasn't comfortable. When you look at the Clippers, if Kawhi Leonard, and again, I'm not questioning the sincerity of his injuries, the legitimacy, not at all. But if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt, Max, we might be sitting here today talking about how the Los Angeles Clippers are the NBA champions.
It could be.
Because
I
they
think
would have
so,
beat
as a
Phoenix.
matter of fact. If he doesn't get hurt this last year, they win. Yep.
They would have beat Phoenix, and I think they could have beaten Milwaukee.
I agree.
So again, I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, don't we have an obligation to discuss that?
Yes,
I think we do.
I have a question for you. It's not rhetorical, and I'm curious as to the answer.
Sure.
Let's take a dude who we grew up to one extent or another watching and admiring and loving and rooting for, who always showed up with his lunch pail and gave everything he had to a franchise. Big Patrick Ewing, right? Patrick Ewing, but was unable to deliver a championship.
Right.
Not all his fault, but he was
standing in his way.
He was
Jordan and then Tim
they
Duncan
didn't get him
with David
enough
Robinson.
offensive help. They never really got him another all-star scorer
And
while he was great.
Yes.
Okay, he didn't do it. Versus Kawhi Leonard. Let's just say I could tell you right now, Kawhi in year 3 or 4 of this deal will deliver a championship. Until then, and even that season, he's going to miss about 20 games a year. There's going to be load management. He won't play this year. Next year, they'll come up short, all that. Would you rather sign up for the Patrick Ewing dude who shows up every day, the fans love him, the whole thing, but comes up a little short? Or
No.
for Kawhi Leonard if he delivers?
No, but I got somewhat of a trick question for you.
Ooh.
Let me retort with that, okay? Fair enough. Because I agree with you. I agree with you with the Kawhi Leonard compared to Patrick Ewing point. But let me take it a bit further and ask you a question. What if I told you that I could have a chance to win it without Kawhi in 3 to 4 years, rather than keep him on board?
How so?
What decision would you be tempted to make?
If you gave me a better option, if I thought the odds went up, I'd say see you later to Kawhi.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I think they'd rather do it with Kawhi. He's from there.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. And I'm not comparing Terrence Mann to some Kawhi Leonard.
No,
but
Terrence
we
Mann's
both
very
acknowledge. But we both acknowledge he's got an upside. We both saw Paul George play like a star. We recognize that Ty Lue might be the best coach in basketball.
I think he is.
This brother is a superb coach, okay? And we saw what they're capable of. All I'm saying to you is this. I know Kawhi's on another level. But if you giving me 3-4 years, and we talking about culture building. I got a new arena I'm going to be moving the team to in Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to share the Staples Center. We talking about culture building here, where you want guys that grab their lunch pails and they ain't about missing action. They about being in action. When we talk about the greatness of Kevin Durant or LeBron James, MJ, Kobe, and others, let's keep in mind one of the things that we don't say enough about them, but we must applaud, is that they knew they were the marquee or know they're the marquee, and they answer the damn call. They're always there. They're in front of your face on the court. They're in front of your face on the camera.
I want to answer
they're
that.
leading, they're galvanizing, and they're culture building. It
I
matters.
want to answer that. Your question, the premise is, Max, this is not an either or. You can have both. You can culture build and win a championship, and that is my preference. Agreed. That's the number one option. Okay. When it comes to winning a championship, brother, you take it how you can get it. That's true. Hard to win it.
It's hard.
So that is the number one option. If that's not available, I'll take number two, which is winning a championship by hook or by crook. and that's Kawhi.
Well, the Clippers obviously believe in Kawhi with that max contract, but Stephen A., to your point, he's missed 43 games over the past 2 seasons. They are 23-20 when he sits. Okay, guys, let's keep it moving. 7 titles, and Tom Brady doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. So why the pressure facing Brady could be at an all-time high as he gears up for his 21st season in the league.
You want to play well in September so you can be ready for October. And this is all just part of the process, getting ready.
The Bucks, but hey, ain't no thing for Tom Brady, who is on a quest to repeat with the same squad from last year's Super Bowl winning season. And yes, Brady will start against the Bengals this weekend in the preseason. So, Stephen A. Smith, are expectations going to be higher for Brady in year 2 with the Bucks?
To me, you know what, Max? I'm going to go to you first. I want to hear what you have to say about this, Max Kellerman, because I got a feeling you're going to say something that's going to irritate me. Go ahead.
Well, that is my job.
What's new?
The answer is yes. Let me tell you why. Tom Brady is now, and the Bucks are the favorites to win the Super Bowl. They're certainly supposed to get there. They are the favorites, clear cut. Last year, the over-under, I want to say, was 9.5 or 10 games. And I remember thinking, maybe I'll take the over barely. Maybe that's a 10 or 11 team. Maybe they can win a playoff game. But the Super Bowl, year 1, Brady just got there. I ran into Frank Sinatra once and said, Frank, how old is Tom Brady really? He said, Tom Brady's 112 years old. The dude is like coming to America. The dude is smashing the record for age and longevity every time he takes the ball. He was an old quarterback. They won the Super Bowl. He didn't just win a game or 2 in the playoffs. He won the Super Bowl and had to go through Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes to do it. Now, that would be one thing you'd say, well, the pressure's off. He won the Super Bowl. How much do you want from the guy? Except now they've set expectations. Oh, man, he has me on TV, Mr. Cliff, saying he's still great. He's one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the game still, even at his age. And no, I don't see signs of slowing down, actually, now that he has weapons. That was the key. And oh, does he have weapons? Stephen A., Gronk and AB all year now? I mean, and they were great in the Super Bowl. They were catching touchdown passes. and then they return all 22 starters? That never happens. The expectations now, because of Brady's own greatness, have been set as high as expectations can possibly be. They are considered almost unanimously the best team in the NFC, if not the best team in football. The expectations are sky high.
Well, the expectations might be high, but that doesn't mean they're as high as they were in year one. And the reason I say that is because he departed from New England. And we all know the story behind his departure, specifically as it pertains to Bill Belichick and the relationship that those two had. As I reported on numerous occasions, if Bill Belichick wanted Tom Brady to stay, Tom Brady would still be a New England Patriot. That's what I was told. If Bill Belichick had gone to Tom Brady, I don't want to lose you. I want you to stay. Tom Brady would have remained in New England. Tom Brady departed because he knew that the coach that was Bill Belichick was looking to move on, plain and simple. And so to know Tom Brady, to know how, much of a competitor he is, how he's anxious to prove his own mettle, et cetera, et cetera. When he walked into Tampa Bay last year, he didn't just walk in as a 6-time Super Bowl champion. He walked in as a guy that Bruce Arians and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to defer to in a lot of ways. The system that he wanted to employ, the personnel that he wanted on the roster. That's why Gronkowski came out of retirement. That's why Antonio Brown, who Bruce Arians once said, is no place for him in this locker room. We don't need that here. All right, all of a sudden was willing to bring him on board, et cetera, et cetera. Those kind of Leonard Fournette departs from Jacksonville and ends up coming to Tampa. Those things don't happen unless Tom Brady wants it to happen, and Tom Brady gives the okay. And so he didn't just arrive at Tampa as a player, as the quarterback. He arrived as a decision maker. And so everything he did was going to be under a microscope. And then not only does he beat Aaron Rodgers to get to a Super Bowl, but then he gets to the Super Bowl and knocks off Patrick Mahomes in very, very convincing fashion, while picking on the great Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, along the way. When you do something like that, yeah, there's some expectations for you to win, but nothing's bigger than what he did last year.
I'll say this. Pressure, yes, I agree. The pressure may not be on as much this year because he just won you the Super Bowl. Now you want him to win back-to-back, but the expectations, we know now how good this team actually is. We know now for sure. You could say, we already knew Brady wasn't slipping. You don't know that until you see it really. 40 touchdown passes. We know he can still really play, and it's an issue of weapons. We know the weapons are elite. They have a running game. They have an offensive line. They built it. It's beautiful. They have 3-headed monster at receiver, maybe the best 3 receivers we've ever seen all on the same team. We know all this. Expectations high. Stephen A., if he gets the NFC Championship game and loses, the pressure won't be, there's not as much pressure, but we expect them to be great.
Mm-hmm. We expect them to be great, but there's great teams that's lost in conference championship games.
Yep. Expectations higher.
When you talk about pressure, you got to get to the playoffs. He can't flop and don't even make the playoffs. But you lose in the playoffs, and it's NFL.
Well, Tom Brady's probably going to set even more records on his way to the playoffs. Guess what? If he wins Week 4 against the Patriots, he becomes the first quarterback to win against all 32 teams, and that likely is going to happen. Okay, let's go. We got to go to break because we have more First Take on the way. The White Sox and Yankees put on a show with plenty of fireworks last night in the Field of Dreams game, but bigger picture, what did this mean for baseball? More First Take coming up. In the Field of Dreams game, Max, what did this game do for baseball?
It's unanimous. I mean,
this
was unbelievable. And they lucked up the way this game planned out. The Yankees take the lead in the top of the 9th with a home run into the corn, and it was a monster shot, and then the White Sox come back on them. Stephen A., you try to be sometimes, the reaction can be cynical to this stuff, oh boy, they're exploiting our feelings here. But it was perfect. First of all, the White Sox, right? Because the original so-called Black Sox scandal was the White Sox throwing the World Series against the Yankees, the name brand. And it turns out like that. And Stephen A., baseball's never going to be able to compete with football and basketball for sheer entertainment value, for action, right? But it can trade on its history the way Field of Dreams did. And as long as they own their past and the sins of the past, which included, obviously, the color line, right? As long as they own that, then they can trade on the good parts of their history. And I thought it was also fitting, therefore, that Tim Anderson, an African-American shortstop, hit the game winner. You could not have scripted this thing better.
It was special, man. It really, really was. And you know, it had it all, man. I mean, you know, the theater from the beginning with the players walking out and Kevin Costner, the great Kevin Costner, looking out to the field and watching them walk on there, because we know what, you know, him with the Field of Dreams and what have you, and how great that was, to doing that, to being down, you know, what is it, 3 runs and Aaron Judge smacking a 2-run homer, and then Stanton smacking a 2-run homer. Just theater. And then that damn Zach Britton ruins it by giving up the damn game-winning home run to Tim Anderson. I said, you know, I mean, you find yourself enjoying it from the standpoint that I don't know if baseball has done anything better than this in years. I really don't. It was spectacular. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing for them to ingratiate themselves with the younger audience by attaching it to, you know, old time, to the regular fan base that you have. But then I'm a Yankee fan. And
he seems so happy. And I said, I always tell him, he seems so much happier in L.A. He's just living L.A. And I love having him in studio, don't get me wrong. But it's like you belong in that sunshine. You just seem more relaxed. Like you're just. I like L.A. Steve.
The sunshine does do a little bit for you. I mean, you know, as I've told people, you know, that statement, that adage, the sun will shine tomorrow.
Oh, certainly it will.
It really, really, really is true. In Southern California.
That's true 300 times a year in L.A.
I will say that. I will say that. I mean, hey, you know, it's just.
Well, listen, you work very hard, and I'm glad you get to enjoy it sometimes and be out there.
By the way, Molly,
a lot of things you're working on out there.
By the way, Molly, I'm
yes,
out
sir.
here. I got to film more scenes for Blackish today. I got to do that.
Yeah, you do.
I got to do that more today. You know what I'm saying?
That's an amazing show. I love that show. Talented cast. It's hilarious. It's so good.
They're phenomenal, no question.
How many episodes
Are
you
we
doing?
going to get any behind the scenes? Like, what's the deal?
No, I don't think we're going to do that. I mean,
Okay.
that's up to them. That's up to them. I mean, I got to have my people talk to their people, you know, and we figure it out, you know what I'm saying? But I would tell you, Anthony Anderson being that superstar that he is, I mean, he going to make that call. He's gonna
Molly, what, we got a social call? Or are we going to do this show eventually?
Okay. All right. Can you guys tell I don't get out much these days? All right. Tea time's over. Good news out of Indy. Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson are trending toward recovering from foot injuries. In time for next month's regular season opener against the Seahawks, sources told Chris Mortensen. Now, Wentz, who underwent surgery August 2nd, will start his rehab next week, was at the Colts training camp practice Tuesday without a walking boot and without limping. The Colts announced last week that both players would be sidelined 5 to 12 weeks after undergoing operations to repair the same foot injury. The team hopes to have a better indication of both players' rehabilitation status once they get past the 2-week post-surgery mark. Now, Wentz had a career year when he last played for the Colts head coach Frank Reich. Reich was the Eagles' offensive coordinator in 2017 when Wentz posted a career-best 78.5 QBR and 33 passing touchdowns. Max.
Yep.
You have been, I would say, a little critical of Carson Wentz. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, I expect a lot out of him.
Yeah,
Yep.
right? Because, you know, he had a breakout season, won Sylvania, the whole thing.
I was calling him MVP that year.
Yep, okay.
Until he got hurt.
Do you believe that he can have a bounce-back season this year now that he's with such a talented team and with his former coach that he had success with?
No, because see those stats we just showed? When we say bounce back, that's what we're really talking about, everybody.
Yeah.
Can he get back to the heights he hit? Frank Reich, right? Oh, what's the excuse? You got a team around you, Frank Reich? No, because in 2017, Carson Wentz wasn't just a starting quarterback. He was the best player in football. If the season would have continued like that, he was going to win MVP. Now, since then, Mahomes has come around and some guys better than Wentz was even then. But certainly a bounce-back season would mean he's elite again. Elite. He has not been elite since then. Don't forget, the next year was a disappointment. They were 5-6, under 5-5, 5-6, 500 or just under 500. When he went down, team was flat. They were going to miss the playoffs. Foles came in again. They caught fire, made the playoffs, won a playoff game without Wentz. And since then, it's been down, down, down. And I know other people have been saying, no, he's really good. But I kept noticing, and it continued downward trend, and then eventually he lost his job. So can he bounce back from a guy who can't start? Yes, from that he can. Because you can't do any worse. You know, he lost his job last year because he was the worst starter in football. He will not be that again. Did Frank Reich help him when he was in Philly? Absolutely, yes. That's what I hear. You know, Doug Peterson was the head coach, but it was Frank Reich and DiFilippo who were really the guys working with him at the time. But you know something? DiFilippo is in Chicago. And Frank Reich, while he did good work with Carson Wentz, from everything I hear out of Philly, he was the good cop. DiFilippo was the bad cop. And you know what Carson Wentz needs right now? He needs the bad cop. He needs the guy to tell him, to hold him accountable every step of the way. Not just to, so much of Wentz's game is these amazing athletic plays that very few other people can do. He's a tough guy, play through injury, high threshold for pain, and make these amazing plays so that the little details go by the wayside. DiFilippo was that guy, not Reich, according to everything I hear, Stephen A., and that's the guy he would need, at least. He is not going to bounce back to what he was in 2017.
I feel where you're coming from, and I understand it, and I'll give you credit where credit is due because it's consistent with what you've been saying. Fair enough. But I think that Carson Wentz could definitely have a bounce-back year this year. I got a lot of faith in him. I think that last year was an extreme aberration. I think that we've learned in the aftermath of seeing the things that have transpired in Philadelphia that it was an absolute mess. He wasn't on the same page as Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson wasn't on the same page as Howie Roseman, and as a result, the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, found himself in a quandary because Roseman was a guy, if you recall, back in the days when Chip Kelly was there. Once upon a time, when Chip Kelly first arrived, he was given all that power. And once we realized that he was an absolute mess, what they did was the Howie Roseman, they had moved out, they had brought back in, empowered him, ultimately winning a Super Bowl, particularly once Carson Wentz went down and Nick Foles came in and filled in as admirably as he did. But then from that day on, Carson Wentz had something to prove. They had to make a decision about him between Nick Foles. Nick Foles and him were battling for the locker room because Nick Foles was beloved. Carson Wentz, not so much. Even though a lot of dudes respected him, other dudes were a bit divided on him, to say the least. And then you had an issue with strategy and all of that stuff. So the Philadelphia Eagles situation was an absolute mess. They should have been running the ball more, shouldn't have passed as much. Some of the play calling that Doug Peterson was doing, Roseman and those guys weren't happy about it. That's the situation that existed in Philadelphia. That's not what's going on here in Indianapolis. Frank Reich is the man. You even know his relationship with Carson Wentz dating back to their days in Philadelphia. Jonathan Taylor is coming off an 1,100-yard rushing season, averaging 5 yards a carry. T.Y. Hilton is still there. Michael Pittman is still there. So when you look at some of the weapons, particularly with the offensive line, and Quentin Nelson expected to be back for game one, just like Carson Wentz due to that foot surgery, I think that when you look at the personnel surrounding Carson Wentz, it says that there's no way in hell this year is going to be as bad as last year. And that's all you need for Indianapolis to really make a run for their division crown.
Oh, he'll be better. As I said, how could he be worse? But, see, I don't agree that it was just a mess last year, and that's why Carson Wentz. I saw a downward trend. Yes, and the year before. That's my point. Remember when everyone was like, oh, he's in the MVP conversation almost, Carson Wentz, the way he carried the Eagles to the division crown. What I saw in the second half of 2019 especially, but it even predated that, was a guy whose every single part of his game had gone backwards. Every part of his game. And he was turning the ball over on third down in the fourth quarter, and they would be lucky to recover the ball. And then he would make a spectacular play. Yep. But it was all this regression in every single category as a quarterback. And he seemed to think he was the cat's meow.
Simple question before we move on, Molly. And it's a question to both of y'all. We're talking about the quarterback position. So my relationship with the coach is not the greatest. My relationship inside the locker room wasn't the greatest because it was a locker room divided because you had a lot of people who felt that you should roll with Nick Foles, and obviously that didn't happen. You know that the head coach and the GM or the VP of football operations ain't on the same page with him and Howie Roseman. And you're also in the middle of all of that because you don't necessarily vibe with the coach. You're not vibing with the locker room. And you know that the organization is going to at least have to consider trading you. So remember, Nick Sirianni is the coach now. Okay? The head coach is gone. All right, your quarterback is gone. You got a lot of situations. You got a lot of stuff that has happened. What quarterback do you know succeeds under those circumstances?
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing to buffer that point, Stephen A. And you mentioned the O-line. Wentz was sacked 50 times last season. That's the most in the NFL. And now he joins a team with the second best O-line in the NFL. So he has to be thrilled about having better protection. I get that some of it's his fault.
Not some of it, all of it, all of it. Molly, Jalen Hurts wasn't sacked. Jalen Hurts wasn't touched that much.
50 times, and every single time is his fault.
No, Come on, not. It's a team game. The point is to point to his sack total and blame the Eagles. Why wasn't Jalen Hurts getting roughed up like that? And Jalen Hurts is not exactly an all-pro quarterback. You can't just, and the offense was working better with Jalen Hurts. This is what I mean. So many excuses are made for Carson Wentz. He was awful last year, and he was bad the year before, too.
Can we all agree he's on a team with a better O-line?
No question.
We all agree on that.
Look, no excuses. As Stephen A. would say, look at the Colts roster. No excuses.
We did your quarterback. Now let me get to Stephen A's quarterback. So it was revealed on Hard Knocks that Dak Prescott had 2 surgeries this offseason, not just after the gruesome October injury in the Giants game we all saw. The second surgery was to strengthen his deltoid ligament, clean out the ankle, and make it more structurally sound. It was not related to the October injury, but was reportedly found after doctors went in for that initial surgery. Now, on the bright side, after consecutive days of throwing, Prescott has experienced no residual soreness in his right shoulder strain and is hoping to return to practice on a full-time basis next week and potentially play August 22nd against the Houston Texans. But then the Cowboys' official Twitter account tweeting this: it's not a setback, it's not a reason to worry, but quarterback Dak Prescott is planning on getting another MRI. Stephen A., is too much of the Cowboys season riding on Dak Prescott right now?
Is that a trick question? I mean, it shouldn't be, but when you look at it, I mean, it really shouldn't be. But I'm just saying, I mean, the legitimate argument is it probably is. I mean, who the hell is their backup? I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering right now, and a part of me, see, I'm trying not to laugh. And the reason I'm trying not to laugh, Max and Molly, is because of this. I don't want Dak Prescott injured. I don't wish that on anybody. I want him to be healthy and to go out there and play. I actually hope he has a good season. I just hope for Cowboy fans' sake they lose, because I don't feel like hearing those nauseating, disgusting fans. I really don't. I can't stand Cowboy fans. But here's the deal. Isn't it amazing that not even 2 preseason games have been played, and all of these damn headlines about Dak's health? And I'm sorry, I mean, forgive me for asking this question, but since you damn near cracked your leg in half, okay, and was out with the surgery and everything else, how in the hell are we having a situation where right now Dak Prescott's having MRIs on his shoulder and stuff like that? I mean, what the hell were you doing in the offseason? What's going on? Were you throwing from a wheelchair or something? Were you throwing on crutches? What were you doing? Why are you having arm issues? I just don't understand it. I really don't. But in the end, it's just another thing. I always tell you, just wait. Just be patient. They won't let you down. These are the Cowboys that we're talking about here. Something will happen. Something. And I don't know what it is. But every single year, something happens. It's who they are. It's just who they are. And this is the latest. Now I got my man Louis Riddick. I'm watching Get Up this morning before I come in. And my poor brother Louis Riddick, he got to think about calling Monday Night Football games. And guess what? When it comes to the Cowboys, I mean, it might not be Dak Prescott. I mean, Louis Riddick is sitting up there looking all the... I'm very concerned now. My concerns are growing. It's always something. This is who they are. So once again, Max, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. If it's not this, it'll be something else. It's who they are. They're never going to change, Max. They're going to be the same old way, Max.
Well, they'll never let you down. They don't let you down. They let other people down, but certainly not you.
Yes.
But Stephen A., don't get ahead of yourself, because you want them to reach certain heights so that the fall for the fans is more painful, right? For the Cowboys
I don't want
fans.
them to stink too early.
You don't want to fall off the first floor.
But their schedule says they could even win some games without Dak Prescott early. So we'll see.
Here's the thing. First of all, it's hilarious to me that the Cowboys tweet that out. You remember Naked Gun, Stephen A? Leslie Nielsen has the bullhorn. He's like, nothing to see here. Please disperse. And there's, the guys, the chalk outline and everything. It's a crime scene. Nothing to see. That's when I see a tweet like that from the Cowboys. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Don't worry. He's getting an MRI on his On his shoulder? Mm-hmm. You mean the shoulder that it was reported that you found out during Hard Knocks there were 2 shoulder surgeries? Mm-hmm. That's the shoulder he's getting an MRI on? If I'm a Cowboys fan and and I see that tweet and don't panic, now I'm more panicked. What are you talking? Not a reason to worry. Then why is he getting an MRI? You know why? Because he's worried. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, as it relates to relying too heavily on Dak Prescott, this is the NFL. You must rob Peter to pay Paul. If you have a dude who's coming up and you got to give him $40 million a year in a long-term deal, guess what? Ain't a lot of money left for a backup quarterback. What are you going to do, draft the guy? Like what they did with Wentz? They knew, that was different. They knew Wentz was going in the wrong direction. Spent a second-round draft pick, and Wentz is like, what's going on? What are they going to do? What the Packers did? You're trying to get a talent in there behind Aaron Rodgers. He wants to leave. You're going to bring in a young kid with potential behind Dak after you just gave him a contract? You're not going to do that. What, are you going to go get a veteran? Well, yeah, you get who you can get. You're not going to spend real money on a veteran. How much money do you want to tie up in the quarterback position? You know who backs up Patrick Mahomes? Chad Henne. If Patrick Mahomes goes down, season over. Knock wood, that doesn't happen. But this is the case for every team with an extremely high-paid franchise quarterback. Of course the season's riding on them. One last thing, Stephen A. When we say the season's riding on them, let's not forget. Last time Dak was healthy for a whole season, they went 8-8. So what's really riding on him? A 500 record?
Hey, Max and Molly, based on what we're talking about here and some of the just the hints that we see about the season that the Dallas Cowboys are having, I sat here just now, and in this moment, I have made a decision. I think I'm going to go to a Dallas Cowboy game this year at AT&T Stadium. I think I'm going to show up, y'all. I think I'm going to show up in Big D. Yes, I got to time it for when, at a time when if they lose, it's going to really make them miserable. They really going to be depressed about it. I gotta pick it. I got to pick the right game.
Got to wait till they have a good record.
Where they all hyped and they hyped and ready to roll and everybody's ecstatic and excited. And I know they're gonna fall. It's got to be one of those games, and I'm just gonna show up at AT&T Stadium, y'all. I'm gonna show up there. I think I'm gonna go to a game there this year. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna show up. Yes.
I'm trying to see what game that might be. The Giants in October.
Yeah.
The Eagles in late September.
No.
There's many.
No, it'll be.
There's many he could look at. I just want to be clear though. It was 2 ankle surgeries that he had, guys. 2 ankles.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I said shoulder.
Yeah, because now he's dealing with the shoulder.
Now he's saying he got the ankle surgery. How dare him have a shoulder injury now? You had ankle surgery.
Yeah.
You want throwing? What were you doing? Throwing football on crutches?
No, but that's important because I made it sound like he already had 2 surgeries on the shoulder. He's getting an MRI. That's right.
Okay, cool. All right, let's keep it rolling, fellas. KD locked in, of course, and the Nets are looking to do the same with both James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Contract extension soon. So which of these 3 are under the most pressure? The fellas do not see eye to eye. And it's
for me, you just come out and be who I've always been and make plays.
I think the competition makes both of us push ourselves, and it's great for the team, to be able to be around 2 guys that they support and that they're leaning on to be well for them, regardless of who's at quarterback. I played pretty good football in the NFL, like once upon a time. So I'm just excited to get back to doing that, and I'm grateful that I get a chance to be one of those guys. So I'm looking forward to it.
Max, would you say that the Saints quarterback battle actually says more about Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston?
Clearly Jameis Winston. Talk about a trick question. Former number 1 overall pick. Guy who by his second season had 28 touchdowns to 18 interceptions. Not setting the world on fire, but with a big arm for a 9-7 team. A lot of people were thinking, hey, can Jameis take that next step, become an MVP caliber player the next season? No, that didn't happen. No, Jameis Winston, Stephen A. Jameis Winston, not that long ago, we were asking the question, should he be paid at the top of the market for a long-term deal and be the face of the Bucs franchise? The answer was a resounding no, and now he's fighting for a starting job on a really good team, but against a guy, and I love Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is an excellent running back, he's a good receiver, and he can play quarterback. but a lot of people think of him as a glorified gadget player. I think that's a bit unfair, but still, certainly, he's 30 years old. He's had a lot of time to get a job at quarterback. It hasn't happened yet, right? So he's not a great quarterback. He can play the position. And that's who Jameis Winston is in a death battle for the starting position. Of course, this says more about how Jameis Winston has fallen.
Okay. I think it says more about how Taysom Hill has fallen. Here's why. Let me explain. He's 30 years of age. All of that stuff is true. But damn, he was behind Drew Brees. We understood why he wasn't playing. When Drew Brees went down, Sean Payton decided not to put in Jameis Winston. He decided to put in Taysom Hill as a starter. Taysom Hill in those 4 starts went 3-1. He completed 72% of his passes. On the season, he was the 3rd leading rusher for the team with 457 yards rushing behind Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. When you take all of those things into consideration, once upon a time, we were talking about this brother as the heir apparent. We looked at him and we said, whoa, look at him. He's got some wheels on him. He can throw the football. He seems to be talented. I'm saying, why are we sitting there talking about Jameis Winston? What about Taysom Hill? What the hell is going on with him? Why is it that Sean Payton can't make a decision about you when you were the guy that started 4 games last year once Drew Brees went down? What has happened? I think that's a legitimate question, and I don't think we should be throwing shade on Jameis Winston. I think we should be looking at Taysom Hill and saying, what's missing, bro? What's missing?
Well, it was an outside-the-box thought that Sean Payton had. And, Stephen A., you remember Super Bowl week, we were doing shows, and where were we doing shows? I'm trying to remember. Was this 2 years ago? I guess it was in Miami.
At the Clevelander.
That's right.
That was fun.
At the Clevelander. That's exactly right. It was.
When life was still normal.
And Sean Payton, like I was saying, I asked him, really? The stuff you're saying on TV, really? And he had what's in it for him to convince us off camera that, Taysom Hill, I think, is Drew Brees' heir apparent.
So what happened?
But that was an outside-the-box kind of thought. Wait, Taysom Hill, a 28-year-old running back receiver guy,
you're making
a
my
gadget
point.
player, is going to be quarterback? In other words, for Taysom Hill not to grab that job and have a stranglehold on it is understandable.
Max.
It was a reach to think he was going to be a franchise quarterback.
No,
it was a reach. Overall draft
it was a reach for you.
Not for
you. Sean Payton, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, wasn't just last year when we were hanging out in South Beach. When he joined us when we were out there and he came on the show, he was talking about Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is, wait a minute now. You were talking, this is pre-COVID. He was talking about Taysom Hill being the heir apparent to Drew Brees before he started in 4 games last year. Then he started in the 4 games. You go 3-1. How the hell we go from there to Taysom Hill having a problem beating out Jameis Winston?
That was against Teddy Bridgewater, who was going to get too expensive. They were going to have to lose him. Jameis wasn't available yet.
Forget Teddy Bridgewater. I'm talking about what he said. I'm talking about what Peyton said to us. I'm saying your points are valid in terms of what you asked Peyton. But when Peyton spoke to you, he might have been a gadget guy to you. He wasn't that way to Sean Payton. Sean Payton was raving about him. So what the hell happened?
What the hell happened is he's a decent quarterback who maybe they can do better. What happened to Jameis, who's supposed to be great?
So he wasn't what Sean Payton said.
Well, it remains to be seen.
That's
The battle's not over.
I think they both weren't what they said. But we'll carry on here, guys. J.R. Smith, the college years. I am so for this. Going back to school, enrolling at North Carolina A&T. Max and Stephen A. dive into the positive impact this will have moving forward. Oh, and playing golf.
The Bucs are a more well-balanced team, and Brady is still great.
You know who I am? I'm Patrick Mahomes. This is the best in the world right now.
Is it possible to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback who doesn't want to be there?
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't 100% all in.
New England should make the playoffs. They can make some noise.
I like Josh Allen a whole lot.
Odell Beckham Jr. coming back. Let's see what happens when you get back, my brother.
I don't believe in Ben Roethlisberger as a championship quarterback anymore.
Ezekiel Elliott could be a pivotal component to the success or the failure of those Dallas Cowboys.
I got to tell you, I'm really excited.
Tomorrow, we got more camp takes for you as we go around NFL training camps. Week 1 preseason games start tonight. Max and Stephen